As we get to the 2023 midway point, we've seen plenty of awesome performances. From Ohtani's historic season on both sides of the plate to Acuna's 40-75 pace, or even Felix Bautista's ridiculous 18.4 K per 9. But with every home run hit must come a home run given up. Leading up to this year's All-Star break, plenty of the past year's biggest stars have failed to show up. While it might surprise you to see some of the names on this list, others might be names you expected to see. Maybe they overachieved the year before, maybe it's a move to a new team, or maybe pressure isn't something you only put in tires. So I present to you the most disappointing players at the break, and first up is our good friend Alek Manoah. The 25-year-old came up to the majors in 2021 and wowed baseball right away with a nasty slider to pair with his fastball. He followed up an 8th place Roy finish with an even better 2022 year, nearly snatching up the AL Cy Young. So what happened? Manoah came in with high expectations and things weren't working right away. Manoah would go on to put up a 6.36 ERA and a 1.90 WHIP, down from his elite 2.24 ERA and 0.99 WHIP from last season. Could it be something mental? Could he be affected by the pitch clock? Manoah's story is long from finished. He started for the first time in over a month in the majors, putting up 6 innings of 1-run ball, allowing 5 hits and striking out 8. Is this a sign that he's back in a groove, or could this just be a one-off? I guess only time will tell. And now, let's get on to the next player in this category, with Sandy Alcantara. Last year's Cy Young champion fell from grace. Sandy put up a sparkling 2.28 ERA and a 0.98 WHIP on a workhorse level of 228.2 innings pitched. This included 6 shutout performances, on his way to an awesome year all around. This season could not be more different. Sandy has already given up 10 home runs in 107.2 innings this year, having given up 16 all of last year. It would seem that he could be another pitcher affected by the new rules. Sandy was never known for being merely a strikeout pitcher. While 207 strikeouts in 2022 is nothing to scoff at, his 50th percentile whiff rate and 53rd percentile K percentage tells the story. Bleacher's Report predicted it coming into the season, explaining that much of Sandy's success comes from an elite ground ball percentage. Sandy was 4th behind Framber Valdez, Logan Webb, and Kyle Wright last season at 53.4%. Therefore, the new shift rules could be a huge reason why Sandy's numbers have inflated dramatically. Still, things might improve in the second half. A FIP of 388 suggests better days ahead. As long as he can limit the hard contact, we know you got it in you, Sandy. And now for our final player in this category, it's Trea Turner. After signing a massive $300 million contract this offseason with the Phillies and joining an extremely potent lineup coming off a World Series run, many had high hopes for Trea Turner, and so far, things haven't gone to plan. This year, Trea has come out with a measly 248, 302, and 387 triple slash. This perennial 300 hitter is off to a cold start with his new squad. Looking deeper, his OPS Plus sits at 86, well below his career average of 119, and a WOBA of 300 this season is well below the MLB average of 319. A slow start with a new team is nothing to fret. Many great players and stars at Trea's caliber get off to slower starts. There's lots of time for the speedy shortstop to crank it up. And now, let's move on to our next category, and these are the good guys gone bad. We're starting with Xander Bogaerts. This offseason, Xander left his longtime Red Sox team and ventured out west to the Padres. The star shortstop is the second on this list to sign an 11-year contract with a new team this offseason. Xander started off the year red hot to a tune of 308, 400, and a 514 slash line, with 6 homers and 4 doubles in 29 games between March and April. But his hot start quickly faded, putting up a lifeless 546 OPS in May and 699 in June. Additionally, he only hit 2 homers across those 2 months combined. It's certainly disappointing for the 5-time Silver Slugger, but not entirely surprising. Bogaerts left the extremely hitter-friendly confines of Fenway Park, ranked as the 2nd stadium in park factor according to StatCast, and moved to Petco Park, ranked 2nd last in park factor. Like any struggling start and many other members of the Padres, Bogaerts will have plenty of time to turn it around. His hot start in July suggests a big second half could be in store. Now, let's move on to the next player, with JT Realmuto. The speediest catcher in baseball has been slow out of the gate with the bat. It seems like Realmuto either has a 0 for 4 or a multi-hit day, with not much in between. And when the multi-hit days are less and less frequent, those numbers are gonna drop. Looking at JT's StatCast, some of his percentiles are way down from last year, with plenty more blue than you'd want to see from a hitter of his caliber. His average exit velo, hard hit percentage, and strikeout percentage have been poor, all categories that he excelled at in 2022. Still, after a slow start to the season, the Phillies are getting hot at the right time, winning 12 straight on the road for the first time since 1888. If JT can get going too, this team might have another World Series appearance in store. But now, on to José Abreu. Abreu joining the Astros looked like one of the best moves of the 2022 offseason. He would be joining a super potent lineup in Houston, with much less pressure to be a run producer. Hitting between guys like Kyle Tucker, Yordan Alvarez, Altuve, and Bregman should have helped, but I'm not sure anyone saw this coming. Sure, Abreu's power was down last season, putting up his lowest full season total in 15 homers, but he made up for it with an elite contact rate. So while home runs aren't the be-all end-all, Abreu's 50-game home run drought in 2023 was shocking to say the least. After almost 2 full months of baseball, Abreu finally hit his first homer off the lowly A's. Nothing like a series against baseball's worst team to right the ship, huh? Like all great players, Abreu has turned it around since, hitting 5 homers in June with a respectable .821 OPS in the month. While he's been better, those first 2 months of the season still really sting, tanking those season-long averages. And now we're moving on to our third and final category of today's video, with the players who I'm not mad with, but I am very disappointed. Starting with Carlos Correa. Correa came into the season after a pretty wild winter, following a successful first season in Minnesota. He reached an agreement with the Giants on a 13-year, $350 million contract. However, after failing his physical due to a lower leg injury, the contract fell through. He later agreed to a similar contract with the Mets, only to have it fall through for the same reasons. Finally, Correa agreed to return to the Twins on a 6-year deal. Coming into the season, no one would be surprised to see Correa play through injuries or miss games. Correa has so far played 77 out of 88 games for his first place squad. His numbers are considerably down from past seasons, with a 707 OPS and a 94 OPS+, well down from league averages. It's also important to note that Correa has already dealt with back, heel, and foot injuries this season that he may be playing through. So while the Twins got him at a discount, we'll see if he can stay on the field in the second half. And now we're moving on to Spencer Torkelson. The former number 1 pick in the 2020 draft, thought to be the prized possession of a loaded Tigers farm system, Tork's quick accession to the big leagues has not gone to plan. Last year, in 404 at-bats, Tork put up a disappointing 203, 285, and 319 slash line, with only 8 home runs. He's been considerably better this year with a 225, 309, and 400 slash, still light years away from his potential. Should Detroit give him more time in the minors to work things out? After all, Tork's last stint in the AAA before being called up didn't result in the strongest numbers either, with a 738 OPS across 35 games. With all that being said, Torkelson is still only 23 years old. He hasn't even played a full MLB season yet, so it's easy to get frustrated when a super prospect doesn't perform at their peak right away. But Torkelson has shown improvements across his first 2 seasons. His max and average exit velos have crossed over from the great to elite range this year. He has cut down on strikeouts, whiff rate, and chase rate. The Tigers will smartly be patient with their young first baseman. Here's hoping he's smashing all throughout the 2020s. And now let's move on to the final player we're going to talk about today, with Anthony Volpe. Anthony Volpe's season has been an interesting one to say the least. Coming into the season as a Yankees top prospect, and MLB Pipeline's 5th ranked prospect, expectations were as sky high as it gets. Volpe got the promotion for opening day this season and has started at shortstop ever since, playing in every single game. There have certainly been some positives for the young Yankee shortstop. According to the defensive runs saved metric, Volpe ranks amongst the top in baseball. StatCast also has Volpe in the 73rd percentile in outs above average, so Volpe, regarded as the defensive first player, has really held his own as one of, if not the toughest defensive positions in baseball. Somewhat expectedly, the bat has been much slower to come around. Volpe's StatCast shows that he's not always hitting the ball hard, nor does he have a great eye at the plate. His .220 average and .291 OBP prove as much. Still, he has been able to showcase a future power-speed combo, with 12 homers and 16 stolen bases coming into the All-Star break. It's hard to be too disappointed with the young shortstop. He's provided some value in clutch hits at a time for a Yankees team in search of consistent offensive production. And like any rookie, there will be some major ups and downs on the way to what should be a successful career.